now that. Okay, plug this in here. No. You know, already we're dealing with trauma. How does this even go? Come on, get in there try to get in here without causing trauma. There, thank you. There. Clamp it down tight. Now, this here. No, what am I doing? Hide toolbar. What's going on? Thank you. When I show up as mini-me, I don't quite understand how the controls work. Now, today started off awkwardly. I made a pot of coffee, which is my want, and it was kind of weak. And that's because I didn't put any new coffee. I just used yesterday's coffee. And that's does not a coffee pot make. So, consequently, the new pot is being made. I'm trying to make it so I don't look like I'm about to be hit by a Duesenberg. Like, how can I make that go away? That's slightly better. Now I look like I've got X-ray vision. I can see right through your soul, right down to all of the bad thoughts you have. No, you don't have bad thoughts. None of you do. You only think good things. There's 5 people watching me. Well, it's a Saturday. You're supposed to be out with your children. And hello, Will, young man. You're younger than I am, mister. They were nice cars. When I was growing up, Schiavello, I don't want to know what's in your soul. When I was growing up in Minnesota, my father and my mom and dad went to art school together, and there was another artist that was in their class, and he later on in life was a car restorer, and his workshop was maybe 3 miles away or a couple miles away, and he would show up at our house. I think he almost showed up unannounced because we didn't have texting or anything back in those days. I was maybe 5, and I would refer to him as the man with the car with the white tires, because he would show up in this Duesenberg or Piercero or something from the 20s, I'd say. And the cars all had, of course, big white wheels on them, white wheel tires. Is that what they're called? White rim tires, white. Anyway, the big white rims, white rimmed tires. And then he'd take us for a ride around the block in this magnificent car. And I remember being in one of them, and the seat, I was in the back seat, and the front seat had, on the back of the front seat, it had all of these beautiful wooden cabinets that you could open up, and there your cocktail glasses would be, and tables that would come down, and you could have your little picnic in the back seat. But my favorite car was, and these all seem to be convertibles. I don't ever remember a hard top being on these things, or even a top. They were always a nice sunny day with the convertible down. And I remember the car that impressed me the most was one that had a windshield between the front and back seat. So I wouldn't muss my hair, when we were driving around the block at about 15 miles an hour. You don't drive a car like that fast when you're trying to impress the neighbors. And they were really long cars, so someone would see the bow of this Duesenberg coming past their picture window, and they'd have time to summon the family to come down and look at this beautiful car. And by the time the family all assembled in front of the picture window, there was enough of the car still left for them to see it, because they were just these yachts on the road. Just beautiful, sleek things. How did I get out? Duesenbergs. So, white walls, that's what I'm thinking. Thank you so much. White wall tires. White wall tires. I think I called them, I think I referred to them as yellow, because they had yellowed, all of these white wall tires, which was even weirder for me as a little 5-year-old to look at these yellow tires. And that was so amazing. Anyway, what does he do now? He's probably dead. It was always a treat. He maybe came over 5 times or so. I don't know. So your soul I can't look into, Schiavello. So what am I doing? I've got a cup of coffee, a cup of watered down yesterday's coffee that it tastes kind of like water with sugar in it, because there was only just enough coffee, ground coffee stuff to make the water get slightly tan, which I didn't notice until it was too late. Oh my God. Okay, well, our souls are weird things. So I'm gonna stand up and I'm gonna get an actual true to life cup of coffee. I'll be right back. And then I'm going to tell you what my cunning plans are for today. That's more like it. So Willa, what are you doing up so early in the morning? Do you get up early all the time? I don't think Schiavello and Friedrich actually ever sleep. That's my thought. That's my thinking. I'd invite people in, but I'm not dressed yet. You can't see me. I showed my 3/4 roommate last night the video where Schiavello's hand would exit and then my hand would enter, and then it would sort of play around with my face. You sleep. Okay. So about a year ago, I was planning on hosting a party at my house. Oh, cool. Yeah, those internal alarms that got set sometime in your life are hard to turn off. Anyway, a year ago, before COVID was a thing, when COVID was only a hoax, folks, I was planning to host a dinner party at my house. Not really a dinner, a potluck. Grazing and standing with paper plates. That's hardly a dinner. I don't have a table like you, Friedrich. I belong to a group called the Radical Fairies, which I heard about 2 years ago. And it's just such a really nice group of people. Their name is descriptive, I guess. They're sort of not afraid of their gaiety. They're some are kind of spiritual, sort of Burning Man kind of people, vegan-y in many cases. But it's a group that has people who range in age from 18 to 80, and they are artists and lawyers and candlestick makers, I'm sure. There's one of those in there somewhere. And we would end up having, in one of 2 locations every week, we'd have a potluck. And the locations were about a half a mile and a mile away from me, so I would walk or ride my bike every Wednesday night, and it gave me a little tiny bit of structure to my relatively unstructured life. It is somewhat like what we have here on the stream. It was a really good group of people, and we were greater than the sum of the parts. I think we worked well as a functional, sort of unstructured mass of people. There were, some people that I would never think I would say hello to if they were individuals, too young and pretty, too old and pretty. I don't know. They're the people I wouldn't normally connect with. And but as a group, we really got along together, and then I got to know these people who I would not normally think of talking with. Anyway, the long story, I'll make it just a little tiny bit longer. I had hosted, I think, 3 events at my house, and people love my house, my little playground here. And I was about to do another one. And the only time my house ever really gets clean, where I actually vacuum, and I never dust, that's ridiculous, but a vacuum, is when I gave these parties. And so I've never really done much for the last year. And yes, I moved sort of big things, and I might have vacuumed once or twice in an area or 2, but I am, because I haven't been working regularly, I haven't been doing my usual job, areas that normally need to be at least organized for me to do my job have all become clutterified. So today is a day when I'm just going to put everything where it belongs. I'm doing the math in my head, realizing how impossible this is. Because now I have 3 computers plugged into the wall. I don't want 3, I want just 1. But anyway, I'm trying to put, I was trying to find one particular item that I needed to be able to use my computer, and was unable to find it. I know it's somewhere here in this house, but so it's time to completely push things around. That's my day-to-day. And I'll probably take breaks from time to time and talk to you nice people. What are all of you doing today? Canada, or Bartholomew Brecht, got his pens from me yesterday that I sent off. So he's, I hope, happy. My house has huge collections of stuff, not just pens, because I have been collecting things to make art out of. I have probably 5 cubic feet of that sort of soft kind of styrofoam that certain appliances are shipped in, not the kind that's brittle and falls apart and drifts off into your lungs, but the spongy foldable kind. And the stuff that My Pillow guy makes his pillows out of, I'm sure. That I've been saving, and I'm thinking of making, I initially was thinking it would be fun for Open Studios when we have a laundry day. Your day is ending, so sleep, that's right. Well, it's ending 8 o'clock, okay. I had every year we have something called Open Studios, where we open our building up for the public, and we get about 1,500 people show up on the weekend. And I thought it would be neat to create what would appear to be this huge, think of Facemeyer's marionette, and I would have it suspended in our courtyard. It would be sort of human size or a little bit bigger, and the wind might make it move a little bit, and it would be this vaguely white, cubist looking abominable snowman kind of creature. And I thought I would paint on the floor of our building, on the floor of the courtyard, on the floor of the lobby. Not paint, but peel and stick, something that's easy to peel off. Big footprints, and it would lead out to this creature, big black footprints, would lead to this creature, and it would be titled something like Carbon Footprint or something, and this is what we're doing to our world, creating all of this non-biodegradable foam so we can buy more shit. It was a little tiny joke. That was my thought. So I started collecting this stuff a couple of years ago, and I've got a lot of it now. I had been collecting the kind that's brittle and falls apart, but that's too brittle. Laundry for you. So anyway, I've got lots of stuff that is not art yet that might be art in the future. And what I want to do with things like that right now, it's up in my little bedroom loft, and it's fine there because it's out of my way. But there's a lot of other shit I have in my house that's in my way. So that's today's plan anyway. Of course we missed you at Fextonol. So let's pretend when I'm done with this cup of coffee, I will turn off my little stream and I will leave it off until noon. What do you think about that, Pierre Gustafson? Can I stay away from you young men that long? Is that possible? 6 hours, 6.5 hours? No. Yeah, 6.5 hours from now. I tell you what, I'll drink my coffee really slow. Damn you. Red hard rubber, all red hard rubber, or red and black? You have, Friedrich, you have a very diverse collection of pens. Red hard rubber is like a Vermeer painting. There's a dozen of them that exist in the world. And then you have lots of pens that are like the Thomas Kinkade paintings that there are 2 Thomas Kinkade paintings are one more than you need in the world, as far as I'm concerned. But then you give those away, I guess. So mottled red and black. Okay. So I know that Joshua Schroeder wanted to invite Thomas Kinkade for his dinner, and I know that Thomas Kinkade was a Christian, and I know that Joshua is a Christian, so Joshua might have wanted to invite him for that reason. I don't know. I didn't get the reason why, but that was sort of a surprise. His paintings, Kinkade's paintings, are just way too saccharine for my tastes, both in how they're painted, the colors that are used, the subject matter that he chose. Well, if 1/quarter of his collection can be just sent off for free to, and they're third and fourth tier steel nibbed pens, there has to be. It's hard to imagine a fountain pen if, when I think of that kind of pen, they are only good for looking at them and not looking at them very carefully. And steel nibs, I was just saying, steel nibs on fourth tier steel nibbed pens are almost always just horrible. An Arnold pen, a right pen, and all of those, what I would consider fourth tier. Now maybe Friedrich thinks fourth tier is a first tier. Oh, I see. A first tier steel nibbed pen is an Esterbrook, for example. I think they were very very well built pens that had steel nibs, and they were offered at a price point that essentially, I think the difference between them and, quote, a better company is that they chose not to use gold and not to make overly large pens. So they were able to condense their factory and their production line to do something that would be very modest and comfortable. But other companies, Faber was a good company as well. There were a few others. Venus might have been maybe a second tier, a third tier gold nibbed pen, but maybe a second tier steel nib pen. Oh wow, Arnold. I didn't realize that they lasted long enough to be around when you were alive. I would have thought that they sort of were around for a year before they were run out of town by the creditors or something. Okay, cool. I don't study these pens. I used to put all of these pens of that ilk. I used to just dump them in a big. I called it my gumball machine because it was this big clear glass scientific jar that was very thick, but it's right over there. I can see it. A foot in diameter and a foot tall, and I would just dump them in there. So it looked, really bright colors and plastics and shiny different stuff going on, and it looked nice. But all of the pens, I didn't bother to fix any of them, and they all have shitty J-bar, but not all, but most of them had shitty workings. A lot of them didn't have inner caps. So I'm surprised. They must have been doing something. They must have been selling drugs out of the back. What else did they do? Knew also snorkel last night with weird ass nib. What was the weird ass nib? I see. Well, buying huge lots of pens are good. You know, if you had the money to do it, I would buy more of them. Um, I like buying lots of pens, mismatched, I mean, goofy lots of pens on eBay. And I was pretty good at getting them. I would value every pen, even if it was a Arnold that I could see was broken. I would usually assign a value to that pen, maybe $1, maybe only $1. And modern pens that I don't know anything about, um, I wouldn't value very much either because I don't know the value of those. But because there were 2 or 3 pens in this lot of 20 that I really wanted, I would, you know, assess a value to every single pen in the lot. Whereas a sophisticated collector that only wants those 2 pens would come up with a number. They would ignore the rest of them. So I was somewhat successful. And had I known maybe more about the value of modern pens, like what I might sell a Sonnet for, a Parker Sonnet, you know, are they $20 or $50 or $200? I have no idea. So I might not get it because of my undervaluing pens like that. Extra fine oblique. Well, oblique, again, I have to look at the nib to see what it was. There were many pens that were offered to left-handed people. So it might have been one of those. It's an extra fine nib, and if you write with a hook, that's what you get. But if you write with it right-handedly, the line it makes might be a lot thicker or something. Okay, your sentence there, Frederick, is all screwed up. I traded a lot of pens to repair guys for repairing pens I did not know how to. Okay. I understand what you're saying. I traded a lot of parts to repair guys for repairing pens. I did. Anyway. It is cool. Effects and all, I'm sure. I don't I don't pay any attention to what nibs say. I should. I found yesterday, effects and all, I was going through Parker 45s and trying to make complete pens out of them. I don't think there's any that you would want other than maybe one of them. But again, it's only a 45. It has a blue plastic barrel and a blue plastic cap. So it's late in their production. I'll have to look at the nibs, though. I do have maybe a dozen nibs for those things. So maybe there was one that I found that was really, really, really fine. And I assembled a pen that has the name of one of Minnesota's governors on it. Wendell Anderson. What was it? Something Anderson. Well, I paid $200 for a flexible Schaefer nib from Rob. It was on a pen that was $285 for the entire pen, but $200 of that was for the nib. I think in my brain that's how I did the math. And yeah, do I have a gold 45 Z nib here? You'll have to tell me what a Z nib is. I might have one, but I don't know what a Z nib is. It says Z on the bottom. Well, I'll show you the blue one, but it may have there may be other nibs that are kind of fun in them. 45s, as I think I've mentioned here before, is a pen that I normally don't pay any attention to. I find them too light and too thin, maybe to use too often. They just don't seem to have weight to them. But one of my viewers said that they love them because of that. They feel almost invisible for that, both in their pocket and in their hand. They sort of disappear because they're so light. So I put on that person's rose-colored glasses and tried to like them. The only one that I felt really, really connected with in terms of how it felt in the hand and worked was a 45 desk pen. There's something about the weight of that and the length of that and everything else about that felt really good. Okay, let's see what you said about Z. It says Z on the bottom. Yeah, I found two in my looking through these parts. I found a couple of converters that I'm keeping, and there were a couple of converters that, oddly enough, were completely hardened and crunchy. So, and I don't know how easy they are to fix. Yeah, I think the pens I was trying all had converters in them, and there's just something about the weightlessness of even a converted pen, and even even a 45 flighter that seemed light to me. But it's that desk pen that really surprised me, how different it felt. Well, I'll put them aside for you if you want them. They won't cost very much. Signet model. Yeah, I did find a Schaefer pen. In my attempts to find my and dislodge my computer, Parker, if you're still up, my computer, I, fuck you, I can hear him say, all the way from Australia. Maybe he's asleep. I did find in my looking around, I found some sort of Goldfill Schaefer that I think two Goldfill Schaefer pens that I think I put in my keeper pile. Oh Lord, put in my keeper pile at that point, but I'll show them to you anyway. They're sort of the Targa nib era. One is all gold fill. I'm sorry. It's that pen that writes, it's like the Schaefer version of the 180. I think I sent one of them to you, Mitch, didn't I? Or was that for pile number 2? I'm error. Okay, pile number 2. If I can remember where I put them, I think I can. I'm going to get my second cup of coffee. I said I wasn't going to, but I will. I'm having fun. Kitty, are you having fun? Kitty. Kitty was imagining I was standing up. Yeah, I know. I can hear you. Yeah. She likes me to watch her eat. Kinky. Most cats, I think, don't want you anywhere near them when they're eating because they're in Serengeti mode. Okay, stand up here. Stand up. Move. Keep moving here. Keep moving. Grandpa. Come on, Grandpa. Well, I am unable to find it. Here is one of the ones I found. This is a cartridge pen, unfortunately. And this is gold fill with stripes. But what I liked about it was sort of the small little clip. And the clip says, what does the clip say here? A.T. Giard. Giard. Somewhere, though, I do have a, I think, I mean, it's just in my transferring it from one side of the house to the other. I also rediscovered this big, fat-nibbed, maybe Todd Swan pen in green plastic, which I bought from Nicola Pang for $125 or hundreds. I don't even remember what it was. It was a lot of money. But it had this big, fat, smooth-ish sort of stub nib. And I thought that would be the first pen I would hand to anyone that wanted to buy a fountain pen, because you couldn't help but love it and think that this is the coolest thing that was ever made, a fountain pen. And then I would take it back and I'd say, okay, now that you've tasted heroin, let's decide if that's really what you want. Maybe we can have a fancier designer drug for you. But that the nib on that pen was the nib is still fine. I dropped the cap on the floor at a bar, and there's a big chip out of the cap. So I had another cap that doesn't quite fit, not the quite model, but it's still a really neat nib. Well, it's not bait and switch. It's more it's more like a sexy ad, or a mannequin in a store window. It'll look really good. Of course, the mannequin has a 10-inch waist, and of course, everything will look good on someone that's built like that. But you go in the store and you put on the dress you just saw on the mannequin, and it doesn't look quite as nice, but you're still in the store. And when you're in the store, they got you by the balls. But generally, women don't have balls. So they got you by whatever, the flappy bits. By the pussy. They got you by the pussy. So it's the lure. It's not the bait and switch. The pen as it exists now, because of the wrong cap, is sort of unattractive to, well, me. I can see that it's the wrong cap. When you put the cap on the back of the pen, you don't know that it's the wrong cap. They're slightly streamlined, which was they did their cylinder thing, and then they just rounded down the end a little bit. That's the only difference. I once I don't know what you're laughing your ass off for. What did I say that was funny? The pussy bit. Okay. Is that what I said? I used to go flea marketing with my ex-boyfriend every Sunday morning. We'd go to this one flea market near his house. And there was one gay couple that didn't sell lots of stuff, but they had stuff that was always interesting. The half that actually was the owner of this stuff and the seller, the other one was just there to keep him company, I think. He was always sort of leaning up against the pickup truck where the other guy was out front selling. He would sell military stuff, sort of manly things. He often had flags, which I love flags, and binoculars, and some sort of army belt or a hat or something. So I like that kind of stuff. Anyway, I was at his table once, and the other guy that normally didn't say anything suggested that I look at the selection of garments that they have for sale at the Dress Barn. And first of all, did he think I would wear a dress? Was that in his little brain? And then I thought of him in a dress, which seeing him in overalls was I don't want to say bad enough, but I couldn't imagine him polishing up in any way, shape, or form. He was just one of those, I don't want to say dumpy. That's not quite right. He was just a guy. He was a bloke. He was just, sort of big, sort of plain. I don't know. But imagining him wearing a dress that he got at the Dress Barn was just causing all of my little brain cells at 5 a.m. on a Sunday to do all sorts of horrible things. Oh, you were doing the Trump routine. Okay. Who was grabbing whose pussy? Were you both being Trump? You were out trumping each other. And then after I got thinking about him going into the Dress Barn and going down the plus size aisle to decide what spring frock he was going to wear, I started thinking about the marketing. Schiavello, this is you, the businessman, along with everyone else in the room. Let's say I wanted to sell dresses to women. And why would I call my store the Dress Barn? Is there some what self-respecting woman would enter a store called the Dress Barn? I might understand why a man wearing overalls might want to go in. Dress Barn. I did hear a story about Pizza Hut and how they came up with that name. And it was two brothers or something that were going to go into the pizza business, and they had $100 between them or something. They didn't have any money. And they went to some sign shop, and they only had enough money for like 3 letters. So they came up with Hut. You know, had they had a few more dollars to their name, they could have Pizza Maison, Pizza Palace. But Hut was it. In Minnesota, I was driving with a friend of mine up to a lake where we were going to go sailing, and we needed to pick up some food to bring on the picnic on the boat Parker. See, you go on a boat, not to go, we were leaving a dock and we were coming back to that very same dock. We were going to go from point A to point A, but in between point A and point A was going to be a lovely time bouncing up and down on the waves in a boat. And we needed to bring some food. Why they came up with Domino's? Maybe because the little pips on the Domino's look like pepperoni slices or something. No boats, no boats. Anyway, so we went by this pizza place. Should I bring it? No, we didn't want to bring a pizza, but I looked at the sign and it said the dough place, and then in small letters, pizza. And I thought, why would you name a pizza shop? Why would you call it the dough place? It's like the worst part of a pizza. Dough. There's another pizza place up by my ex-boyfriend's. Sal's Just Pizza and More. And I thought, no, that does not work. They're just messing with your head, Beer. No, it doesn't work. Just Pizza and More. I mean, make up your fucking mind. Take the JUST back to the letter shop. Get your money back. Or take back the and more. Okay, Parker. Let me explain what's good about a boat. Maybe you'll change your mind. There's always something about a sailor nobody's ever able to define. There's a gay, salty sort of thing about. Again, you're not understanding, Schiavello. You who want all this land, lots of land, neath the starry skies above, don't fence you in. You want all this 10,000 acres. There's nothing more like being outside than being on a boat. Think about that. You're just bouncing up and down a little bit. And there's all these hunky guys. Fuck the boat. No, you fuck the sailors. Hello, sailor. You know, you're going to be living in Wyoming. You're going to be, where's my cowboy hat? I've got a cowboy hat here somewhere. Look, I'm already making a mess. I took this down. Here, put it back. Okay, you can fuck the pilot. Swimming. Zippered trousers in Wyoming. You have to wear buttons. Well, I don't know how to swim either, Extanol. Why is this doing this? I don't want to do, I'm trying to unselect. How do I make it unselect? No. There we go. I have one of these old 1890-ish compendium books that were sold to, I don't think they had suburbans at that time, the middle class, to teach them how to be slightly fancier than they were. And it had, you know, maybe 800 pages in them. They're quite common. And they have a section on calligraphy, or penmanship rather, and a section on accounting, and a section on medicine, and a section on history of the United States. You know, things that little knowledge everyone should know, I guess. And they had a section on swimming. It was 3 pages long. And they had a section on drowning, which was 6 pages long. So evidently, it was more complicated to drown than it was to swim. Ciavella Ranch. It's regular ranch dressing with a little Italian zest thrown in. Our special recipe makes our ranch dressing better than anyone else's. Schiavello, are you rubbing your hair as it's Schiavello Ranch? Schiavello. I say Schiavello. What do you say? That'll be the second ad. I say Schiavello. I say Schiavello. We all agree on one thing. Schiavello Ranch dressing. We don't know how to say it, but we sure know how to eat it. Cut. What do you think? Should I be in the ad business? Schiavello. Schiavello. No matter how you say it. I'm hired, okay. I'll send you my contract. Well, it worked for Effextinol. It'll work for Schiavello. Schiavello. Not only does the product not exist, the ranch doesn't exist. My cat hates this. Kitty, where are you? Makes this little hissy noise. It's probably because they don't like snakes or something. Well, you know, you can be your own people. Now, I'm almost done with this cup of coffee, which means I'm going to say goodbye to you all until 12. I've got 5 hours and 45 minutes before I sign on again. I did turn on my computer that was giving me problems yesterday, and it turned on without a problem today. Now, I didn't watch it completely boot up, so maybe the white screen existed for a while until it finally kicked in. I don't know. Not since 1918. You can't own anyone. Exonomic. I have to look that up in a dictionary. Schiavello. I'm planning my attack. Which mountain of debris will which I've got, like, it's like I'm surrounded by 5 or 6 glacial debris fields that are slowly moving in to crush me. And I've got a debris field over there. I've got two of them over there. And I've got in my studio half, I've got way many. Oh, you didn't get any family factories? Well, you're marrying into a factory, so there you go. Well, no. I still haven't seen that chiseled picture of you, Friedrich. Schiavello hasn't sent it. I think he's waiting for you to do the deed. Schiavello. No matter how you say it, it tastes just great. Parker, send that photo. If you send it now, you can watch my reaction as I look at it on my iPad. What was your maiden name, Schiavello? If you took Schiavello, you must have had a fun name before then. Parker. Oh, a Native American tribe. You and what's her name from Massachusetts? Pocahontas. Crazy horse. If you were running against Trump, he would call you crazy horse. Dribbled. Bad boy, bad boy. My 3/4 roommate does an absolutely perfect rendition of him, but of course adds humor to the text. And I'm planning on doing a YouTube video where you just see our hands, and I'm selling him pens to write his memoirs. I hope that Matt will do it for me before people completely forget about Trump, which I hope happens sooner than later. Well, I've got to pee. My coffee has now made its way, or something has made its way toward that end of the plumbing. So I look forward to. No, I'm gonna sell him a Schaefer golf pen because it'll make his hands look bigger. And I'm gonna say that look how nicely it writes a 1 for a hole in one, Mr. President. Okay. Bye, everyone. I really have to pee, so I'm taking this opportunity to do that. So let's see if I can figure out how to end this. We'll see you at noon. Bye. I'll set my alarm. God, I gotta pee. Bye.